Evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's Albion Fans Forum. We're coming to you live from the Amex Stadium on BBC Radio Sussex and the club's YouTube channel. It's certainly been a historic season. Coming up on our left-hand side, our panel for this evening, Deputy Chairman Paul Barber, and ladies and gentlemen, the Seagulls head coach Roberto De Zerbi. Perfect timing, as always, Roberto.
Too much.
Thanks very much indeed for a very warm welcome there for everybody. Just a quick reminder, 60 minutes will go very, very quickly indeed, so please keep your questions nice and tight. We don't need a full introduction, but if we can get straight to the point and keep things moving so we can cover as many issues as possible. But just, if you can stand up, great. That would be great for the TV cameras and also who you're addressing your question to, but that should well be very obvious. So let's go straight into the crowd. Cameron's there with the microphone. If you want to stand up, gentlemen, and ask the first question of the evening.
Good evening, Raymond Wright, Seagulls over London. From this unique season, what lessons have been learnt and improvements could be made on the pitch? Question to Roberto, and off the pitch, question to Paul.
Well, it's certainly been a historic season. Roberto, would you like to start with that one? It's a big question, isn't it?
For everyone.
It's a big one to start off with, but...
No, first of all, good evening, and thank you for this event. But it's a tough question because in every game, every day, we can learn something. And this season has been great until January, I think, more or less. And then it has been very, very tough. No, very tough to accept. Last summer, I thought the season should be different. For sure, we are working harder than last season. It's difficult to understand, but we are working harder. We are working with more attitude, with more passion. Unfortunately, the last result are not like we would like, we hope, we dream. I think to compete in Europe League is very tough. It's very tough. We suffer a lot, too many injuries. It was difficult to prepare the game Sunday after the European game first day, but I think we have to be proud anyway, because we are fighting in our best. Sometimes we are not able to give our best in terms of quality of the play, quality of the performance, but I can put my hand on my players, on their attitude, their behavior, and we are suffering for these last results, for sure.
Paul, do you want to just touch on things? I mean, obviously so much has happened across the season and so many positives as well, but how do you see things in terms of, lessons off the pitch?
Well, first of all, good evening, Raymond. If there were loyalty points for questions asked, you would be in tier 1 forever. What can I say? I mean, obviously, when you're competing in 4 competitions, it's tough for the first time. I think it's a measure of our progress that we're all feeling a little disappointed at the moment that we're 12th in the Premier League. Strange, There was 5 seasons ago, we'd be delighted to be 12th in the Premier League, and probably less than that. So there's always lessons to be learned. I think, Roberto and the coaching staff have done an incredible job. Despite some of the challenges we face with injuries and the run of games and the intensity of those games. So on the field, I think we've actually done very well. And obviously, as Roberto said, since January it's been more difficult than we would have hoped. But off the field, I think the staff done a great job. The European campaign worked really well. It's a challenge for everybody, learning experiences for fans as well as for staff. And we continue to try and move everything forward as best we can. I mean, there's still lots of work that we can do, lots of improvements we can make. But every time that you go into a season where you're competing in 4 competitions, you will learn something. And for us, it was the first time ever, so we've learned a lot.
Okay, let's go. Someone just in the front there. So a couple of years younger. There we go.
This is a question for Roberto. How do you compare Brighton, our football and our players to other teams that you've managed?
Oh, great question. What a great question.
Is another tough. If we start with 2, this question is tough to reach at the end of the evening.
You might have to go a little bit
but
earlier
anyway,
than planned.
it's like children. You can't say. No.
They're all different.
Yes, yeah, because I love all my former players, like I love my actual players. We reached Europe League here. I was sorry because with Sassuolo we tried to reach the Europe League. We didn't reach the Europe League for 2 goals. 2 goals, the difference of goals. In Shakhtar, I had incredible players, incredible squad. It's very, very tough to make a difference between the team. For sure, the day I will go, I will leave. My focus is to keep the memories in a good way as a man, as a person, first of all, because the result you can lose, you can win, but the most important is to live the good idea as a man.
Well, great questions and great memories, as Roberto said there. If we just come down into the front row here, Cameron coming across.
Hey Roberto, this is a question for you, and Paul, you can answer this as well if you want to. Given the hopefully next season, providing if we when we get all our players back together, are you what's your aim for next season? Are you wanting to try again for European football? Are you looking mainly just for like a top 10 finish?
Listen, it's not my business, the target of the club. If I'm in my head, if I understand we can push more than the target of the club, I push strong on the dressing room and with the players. This is the first part. The second part, I think now you know myself, and I love the truth. I usually want to respect everyone in front of me, especially the players, the club, but the fans as well. And the target has to be clear, and we have to have the chance clearly to reach this target. Otherwise, when I don't believe in a target, I say the truth.
Paul, I don't know if you want to add to that,
Yeah,
because obviously a few years ago we were sitting here and you said about the mission statement for the club being established top 10, but expectations have grown, haven't they?
Of course, yeah, and I think, Raymond asked earlier what we would do differently off the pitch. Well, maybe just finish a little bit lower so we could then finish a little bit higher again. But, you know, we keep pushing forward and we want to be back in European football. We enjoyed it so much. Everybody enjoyed it, and on and off the pitch. And we want to try and do whatever we can to give Roberto the tools that he needs to help us do that again. And, you know, that's not easy because there's other clubs around us that are improving, spending a lot of money. But certainly it will be our aim to be back in Europe as quickly as we can. And, you know, that will be from this moment forward, we keep planning and working towards that.
Okay, thank you. Do keep putting your hands up so that camera can spot you and scan the room so that he can come to you in a good time.
Oh, yeah, good evening. It's David from Seaford. Listening to the goals and what we're going to be trying to achieve next season, it's been really great seeing how profitable the club are now and that we've managed to pay Tony back some money. The big question is, though, based on the priorities and the vision of the club, are we actually going to see some positive action in the transfer market for the start of next season in terms of bringing in the number and the quality of the players that we need to be able to move forward and continue our quest to be in Europe? So can we have some commitment that there is going to be some investment in the right players that the club needs? Thank you.
Okay, Paul, I think that one's probably for you in terms of investment over the summer.
Well, I think in the 11 years that Tony's owned the club, you've seen nearly £500 million worth of investment. So I don't think there's any question about investment in either the infrastructure or the playing squad. And obviously we always have to take the right time to invest with the right player, and that will continue. Every transfer window we go into, we try and look to improve and strengthen the squad. This summer will be no different.
How challenging is it at the moment, Paul, in terms of, you know, transfer activity?
It's always competitive, Johnny. Yeah, there's always going to be players out there that will look for the best opportunity, whether that's through higher wages or potentially playing in the Champions League quicker, so on and so forth. So we're always going to be in a competitive market, but we're confident in our ability to bring in good players to complement the squad that we've got. You know, Roberto's this year had to work with a squad that's been depleted through injury, and a lot of that has been bad luck. Some of it has been the intensity of matches, the frequency of matches, not enough rest in between, the learning experience that we've had. But they're not excuses. Every club has those. Every club has had those difficulties, and you know, we've been unfortunate, but you know, we're still in the top 12 in the Premier League, and still 4 games to go. We could finish higher than that. So we're certainly looking forward to the transfer window in the summer and improving the squad again.
Okay, let's return back to the floor. Another question there.
Hiya, question for Roberto. So with the recent controversies over VAR, people saying it should stay, people saying it should go, what's your opinions on it? Do you think it's being used appropriately, or do you think there should be any changes with it in English football?
Good old BAR. There you go. Didn't take long, did it?
Well, it's a controversial in every country. Maybe you don't follow the Italian league, Serie A, but every week there is a trouble. No, I think the VAR can help to improve the football. The most important is to be clear for every situation, in every take decision in the same way, because sometimes you can watch the same situation with different decision, no? And for that I think can be a confusion, situation of confusion. But anyway, the VAR in the right way can improve football, because you have to be sure on the bench, on the stand, will be the right decision.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Okay, another question just on the left-hand side there.
Hello, Roberto. This is a question for you. I'd like to ask you, when last season we saw your playing style really come into use with the triangles and the attacking football, like the play at Man City. But we haven't seen it so much this season. Do you think when we make major upgrades and investment to the squad and the players, do you think do you think we will see that playing style back again next season?
Yes, great question. I think the style of play depends on the characteristic of the players, human age, and you have because playing with Mitoma and March is different than playing with Adingra on the right side. I don't know if you love Adingra in the right side or in the left side, but anyway, Adingra is left foot. And if we play with Adingra winger and right winger and Tariq Lamptey right back, you can't see overlapping. For example, if March plays as a right winger, is different. And for the same reason, we played more or less without Pervis Estupiñán, the left back. And Pervis Estupiñán permitted last season to play in build-up in different way than the last 3 or 4 or 5 months. We played a lot of games with 3 defenders at the back because the characteristic has been different, and you have to respect the characteristic. I think we improved in the control the game, especially in the first part of the season when we played with Igor, Dunk and JP Van Eyck at the back. Until Jack Hindeswood played, was available to play, we played with him right back, but at the end he played 90% of the game as a midfielder. And then it was difficult because I changed a lot of tactical disposition for the players, for the characteristic of the player. I love to put my players in the best condition for them. The most important, the players are comfortable on the pitch and not to start from my first ideas.
Okay, tactical one there. Let's go back into the floor on the left-hand side here. I think we've got a few. Lady in the third row.
Hi, Sue from Seagulls over London. Slightly less serious question for you. We've all seen the photos of players coming around to your apartment for dinner. Just wondered if you actually cooked for them, and if you did, what's your signature dish?
So, did you actually cook, and what is your favourite dish to cook?
I want to say a secret. Unfortunately, my chef is injured as well, like players. and we finished to eat with my players at my home, no? Because she's injured.
She's injured as well.
Sums up our season, really.
I think it does, doesn't it? Even the chef's injured. Even the chef's injured.
It's a bad season, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just so you know, I was getting an invite until that happened. Yeah. Now there's no invite.
No. Okay, great question. And another one just from just behind there.
Hi, Roberto. First of all, thank you for letting me see the best football I've ever seen in my 50 years following the Albion. But
yeah, well said.
Thank you.
But I just wondered if there are any plans or what you could see to maybe improve our attacking and defending set pieces.
Yes, big question, because we have to improve quickly, and we have to work and to have a massive improvement, because we lost a lot of points on the set pieces. Yeah, you are right.
Okay.
And I think we are paying a lot the set pieces this season.
It's become very important, Roberto. Obviously, a lot of people talking about Arsenal and how well they have use set pieces this season. It's still a very important part of the game.
Yes, I don't love the set pieces because it's one part, it's different part of the football. No, it's not, build up or last 20 meters. I don't love working in set pieces, but it's a crucial part to reach results. Yeah. You have to. There are the characteristics of the players as well. Because to kick, there are different in the kick. I think we must do better for sure.
Okay. 20 minutes gone, we're already a third of the way through the forum, so it just goes to show, as I was saying, things going very, very quickly indeed. So let's keep bouncing along with the questions.
So there's been a lot of great questions about for next season. I want to ask this season, can we please beat Chelsea? Try and make... Like how we made it hostile for Crystal Palace here, can we make it hostile somehow for Chelsea as well? Get more policing, send Todd Bowley the bill. Because when we had the Carabao Cup, they put the tickets up for us. And, we as fans, we need to get up as well, but can we try and get the players up for that as well? I really want to beat Chelsea when they come in.
Well, they'll probably try and sign Sussex Police as well, I think, probably. But what about the atmosphere in terms of at home, Roberto, as the fans saying there? Do you want to make it more hostile, more vocal, louder, if you can?
No, I still remember the game against Marseille at home. It was incredible. And I think the fans this season have been fantastic. I think more than last season, for sure. And I can say the players are sad because we are not winning in this season to give you the enjoy, to give you the satisfaction. Yeah.
Okay. Another question just there with Cameron, just in the middle.
This is a question for Paul, but next season, would there be a bigger chance for the children to meet the players? Because after the matches, we never get to meet the players anymore.
Good question.
Thank you. That's a really great question. The answer is we will try. Unfortunately, too many adults spoil it for the children. That's the reality. Too many eBayers, too many people wanting autographs that they've got the week before and the week before and the week before. And it's become dangerous. And it's become dangerous for you, the children, which I really am disappointed by. But we're still looking for more opportunities to get autographs for you when we can. So keep looking at the website, keep looking at X if you're allowed, and we'll try and create some more opportunities for you.
Because there's always the half-term stuff, isn't there, as well? And those
half-term stuff,
open training sessions,
open training,
is that something?
And we're going to try and do a few more store events as well next season. So there'll be more opportunities for you to come and get autographs.
Great.
But adults, please give the kids a chance.
Kids, stay away. There you go. Okay, just go ahead on the far back hand, left-hand side.
Lovely. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Another quick question to you. It's along the same sort of lines. When we go to away games, there's no longer any shirts being thrown out to the fans. It seems to have stopped.
Budgets are tight.
Not that tight.
You'd be surprised. To be honest, it's not so much that, it's actually availability of kit. And so when we get towards the end of the season, it becomes tighter and tighter because we don't have surplus stock. So the kit man gets more and more nervous when kits start going into the crowd. So, at the start of the season, it tends to be a little bit more plentiful. So get your hand up, get your cardboard up at that point, and towards the end of the season, it's a bit more difficult, genuinely.
Obviously, you extended kit deals, so that's is that something that obviously
Yeah.
news will come through at some stage?
It will. We've been working really hard with Nike, and we will have news on that very soon.
Okay, I tried. There you go.
Good evening, Stuart from Proud Seagulls. Question for Paul. You're right, Roberto, you got away with it this time. This is really about women's football. This coming weekend, it would have been, I think, an absolute disaster with the men's game moving to the Sunday at the same time as the women's game. Now, thankfully, I don't know whoever decided to move it back to the Saturday, thank you very much, because it gives us supporters that support both the teams a chance, especially as it's the women's last home game. And my question is really around that. How much control does the club have over more so the women's fixture? Because I think that might be easier to move. And do the, if you like, Premier League and the FA, do they actually talk to the women's Super? Oh, okay. Right. Thank you.
You've answered your own question there, I think.
No,
quickly, Paul.
it is difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, the fixtures are controlled by two different bodies, and they do talk to each other at the start of a season. But the fixture calendar starts with FIFA, comes down to UEFA, comes down to domestic leagues, comes down to women's football, and so on. And you know, those things are all connected but independent of each other. So we don't get any say to any large extent unless there are some operational considerations. The police have an objection, or, you know, for example, Crawley might not be available for a women's game, and so on. But the reality is we have to work with what we're given.
Okay, well, I think we'll come back to the women's game as well a little bit later, because we've got some stuff with Roberto as well. Just in the front row here.
Hello. I want to ask a question for Roberto or Paul. How do you feel about the players being called up for the international teams? Because it's a really good thing for us as a team to see. So, yeah.
Yeah, really good question.
Well, it's a proud, it's an honor, and especially for Louis Dunk and Pascal Gross, no, because they are not so young.
But they have maybe not been looked at before.
The national team at 31 years, and Pascal Gross as well. Is different than Levi Colwill last season, or Moise Caicedo, or one Cuglinciso, no? And it's a proud, it's an honor, and when they play with the national team, for me, for my staff, we played with our players. No, we are inside of the game as our players. It's different because maybe they are not used to playing in the national team. I hope both Louis Dunk and Pascal Gross can play the European, because should be great for Brighton, for me, for the club, for Tony, Paul, everyone.
Yeah, certainly an exciting summer. Hopefully those guys are on the plane to the Euros as well. So yeah, let's head back to Cameron over on the right hand side. Yeah, do you want to keep putting your hands up in the air, because it's quite difficult to keep a monitor on everybody, so we'll try and get round to you as well. Even if you just keep them up in the air for a little bit longer initially, just so if we don't catch you, we don't want to miss out on your particular questions.
Hi Roberto. Hi. Hello. Thank you, by the way, for getting the club into Europe. It's been brilliant and we've all enjoyed it. What's being said to the players before the game and at half-time? It's kind of giving them motivation to go out there and try and win the game. Because obviously if they're losing at half-time, well, what are you saying to the players to give them that motivation?
Well, I think you have to understand the momentum, no? Sometimes you have to be stronger, and sometimes you have to transfer confidence to transfer positive things. Depend of the period of the season. It's not so easy to understand what they need, but it's part of the coach. I can't explain, you know. You have to feel the. And sometimes you can make mistakes.
Okay, I know there's a couple of questions that people came to me just beforehand. Cameron's going to just walk around now to Paul. Any news on the pre-season tour? Because I know that's something that 2 people have asked me prior to. I don't know whether those questions are coming, but they have asked me to just quickly get the update on that one.
I mean, all things being equal, we'll be heading to Japan this summer. We expect Karoo to be part of that tour, obviously, because it's important for us to have Karoo with us. But at the moment, the plan is to have 2 games in Japan. We've got a small team of people out there at the moment, just looking at training pitches and hotels and the stadiums and so on. But that will be our plan this summer. We're not quite there yet. We've still got some work on the contract to do, but that's the plan.
Well, very exciting indeed. Yes, just there, lady, gentleman. Lady, just behind the camera. Sorry.
It's a question for Roberto. Roberto, there's been an awful lot of speculation about you and your future. I just wonder how that's impacted you and your motivation, as well as the team's motivation as well.
You want the truth? I'm not working for the career. I'm working to wake up happy in the morning. And if I will be happy in the future in Brighton, there isn't one team who can bring me if I don't want. But if I'm not happy in the morning, if I don't feel the motivation to work like last season or this season as well, can change, because I'm not able to give my best. I think if I'm able to give my best, I can push the players. Otherwise, it's tough, because I can't change my face. No, if I don't believe, or I don't feel something strong, something more than football, more than job, it's tough for me.
Don't worry, every morning I'm taking cappuccino, croissants, whatever he needs.
It's not enough cappuccino.
We know you like your coffee, Roberto. Yes, in the front row there.
Yeah, hi, Monica from Warninglid. A question here about our tactic as a club, which I think has been brilliant on the finances. If you look at the age profile of our club, we've got young players and we've got older players, mature players. We don't have that middle-aged player, which is an experienced player that's staying through the club. Love your policy, Paul. You're doing great stuff on the finances. But for Roberta, that's a problem about our selling on of our good players. Is this going to continue? Is this something that we're going to see? Or are we going to have some of our players please stay a few more seasons? Because you get some great youngsters. You're doing a great job, Paul. But for Roberta, that's really tough.
She's not my sister,
And after a question like that, she's definitely not mine. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I agree with you. I mean, if you look at Adam Webster, if you look at Joel Veltman, if you look at Solly March, if you look at players of that sort of age, they're not old and they're not young. They do fill that middle ground. Steely, another example. But it is our policy to buy young players and to develop them, coach them, make them better players, which is what he is brilliant at. And can take a lot of credit for the work that he's done with that. And then at the right time, when it's right for us as well as for the player, to sell them on. We're never going to leave ourselves in a position where we can't compete. And this next season will be our 8th season in the Premier League, so I think we've proven that. But at the same time, we have a particular model which helps us to compete at the level that we do. And it's different to other clubs, and it will continue to be different for other clubs. But we always want to have a competitive squad. We're always going to put Roberto in a position where he can compete. This season it's just been more difficult than we had hoped and expected for all the reasons you know. But yeah, there's always going to be a balance of younger and older players and some in the middle. Okay. And you can be my sister if you want to.
There you go, Maren. That makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? There we go.
I've got a question for Paul about FA Cup replays being scrapped, about whether do you think it's fair, and I know that some lower league clubs think it's unfair that they weren't consulted, and I don't think it's the nature of the FA Cup to it just being what some teams want and not everyone, so I wanted to know what your opinion on that was.
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, that's a really, really good question, and well done for getting that one across. It's a really complex area, is the honest answer. Not every club is in favour of replays. Not every coach, not every player, not every fan, actually. And it's it's one of those things. I'm a lot older than you, and I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to the FA Cup. I love it, and I love everything about the FA Cup. The fact it's an open draw, the fact any big team can get a little team, and the games can be played home or away, and then there's a replay as well potentially. But the reality is the fixture calendar, as it is now, just simply doesn't have room for FA Cup replays. And as I said earlier to Stuart, we don't actually determine the calendar. We're not in charge of that. FIFA, UEFA, the FA and the Premier League are in charge of the calendar. And for the FA and the Premier League, they've got to fit into the calendar that FIFA and UEFA prepare. And the reality is going forward, because the European competitions are expanding, there is no room for replays. And if I look at replays, and I did a bit of research, as some of you might have read my programme notes at the weekend about this, there are probably 300 or 400 replays over the last 12 or 15 years. Less than 2% of those have actually been a big club and a little club going to the big club's ground for a replay. So the reality is, it's a little bit of a myth that these big replays happen every year. They don't. In fact, I think there's only been 2 in the last 4 years that have happened like that. The other problem is the logistics around replays. They often have to get organised at short notice. Very difficult for clubs to organise with the police, very difficult for fans to organise transport, very difficult for transport companies to organise transport. And so fans are very often left in a really bad position by replays. And if I look at the last 2 that we've been involved in, I think we were away to Hull and we took about 300 fans. And we had West Brom here in a replay and they brought about 380 fans. So fans are not supporting replays in those numbers either. Now, they're not the big games. They're not the David and Goliath type games. But when we played Hull, they were Premier League and we were Championship. And when we played West Brom, we were Premier League and they were Championship. So, unfortunately, a combination of all the things, the fixture calendar, the difficult logistics, the fact that big replays don't happen as often as people think, and that fans struggle to get to those games, and it costs them a lot of money, means that a lot of fans actually quite like the idea of games being played to the death on the day, extra time penalties. They get better value for money. They get to see their team win or lose, but not draw, and then have to scramble for a replay. Personally, I'd love to still see replays, but I'm also a realist that unfortunately we haven't got room for them anymore.
Okay, good question. And of course, expanded European competition coming up next season as well. Let's head back to the left-hand side.
Hi, a question of a slightly different nature for Paul. It may not be true, but I'm interested to know, is it right that 1901 club members are able to buy tickets for our away fixtures and hand them on to My Albion Plus members, so subsequently you have people with very little points potentially being able to go to away games? And if that is accurate, I'm just wondering what the rationale is.
It's always been the way that 1901 club members acquire their own loyalty points in their own name, and they're able to buy tickets to away games. And they, tickets are transferable for 1901 members, but again, on away games, they would need to speak to their 1901 club managers about what they do with those tickets if they can't go.
Okay, we've got another 10 minutes or so with Roberto's time, so if anyone's got any questions for Roberto, do put up your hand. Paul's going to be here for a short while afterwards as well, so young lady here.
For Roberto, what influenced you to come and manage Brighton?
What influenced you to come? Why did you come to Brighton as a club?
For sure, Premier League for a Italian coach or anyway another foreign coach is great. The idea to work in Premier League, and then we had a meeting with Paul, with Tony, and they liked me immediately because the plan. And the view was clear for me, and I think we tried we found the way to work together, and was and still an honor work with Brighton, with this club, with these players.
Roberto, how do you feel when you walk around the city as well? There's a mural of your face, your picture and stuff. How does that make you feel about your connection with the city?
Yes, I feel the connection with the city, with the fans. I try to continue my answer about the future. I need the connection with the people, with the players. I want the relationship very, very close. I need that because without the relationship with the players, with the fans, with the club, I can't work and I can't give my best.
Okay, well that's great to hear.
This is a question to Roberto. If there was one word or phrase to describe your time at Brighton, what would it be?
Oh, wow. One word or phrase. These youngsters have got the best questions.
We need more kids.
I know, these are the best questions from the youngsters. So one word or one phrase that would sum up your time.
How many of you last season fought to reach the Europa League? And so the word is magic.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that word, that's for sure.
Hi, got a question for Roberto. So what is the logistic behind our goalkeeper rotation? And has there been a moment you think that didn't work out? And will the goalkeeper rotation continue in the rest of the season or maybe the next season?
I don't know in the next season because every season is different. I think in this season we are playing with two great goalkeepers. Verbruggen is a potential, one of the potential best goalkeeper in the world in the next years. And Jason Steele last season was crucial to reach the Europa League. And you know, I don't like to play with Europa League with one keepers. Premier League is another goalkeeper or one player in one competition, another in another competition. For me, it's the same. They have different characteristics, I think they played well both. Maybe you can prefer one of two, but at the end are more or less the same level in this moment.
Okay, the club's produced so many good goalkeepers and continues to do so. This lady just here.
Hi, Roberto. We love your passion on the sidelines. How many yellow cards have you received in your career? And how much has it cost you in fines?
I never paid nothing for you. Paul Barber pays.
Yeah, that's why he gets croissants and not eggs in the morning.
Brilliant. Just once, we occasionally have had signings on this forum for the club. You made an announcement in the last hour or so with regards. I know injuries has come up for a few people as well. A new doctor, new head of science. Do you want to just quickly explain that and how that might impact on the club and Roberto as well?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously this season's been particularly difficult with injuries. No one's 100% sure why. We've been unlucky for sure, but other clubs have been unlucky. Obviously, we've played a lot of games, but clubs have played a lot of games. But there's been a lot of injuries across the Premier League. Interestingly, when we look at the Premier League statistics, even though lots of clubs had lots of injuries, there are actually no more injuries this season than last season in total across the whole league, which is surprising to me. The nature of the injuries has been different, and there's quite a lot of muscular soft tissue injuries, more than last season. Why? A combination of maybe the World Cup running into a season, then the added time that's now accounted for second by second. So games are running to 100 plus minutes on a regular basis, which is 10 to 15, sometimes 20% longer than the normal game. And on top of that, multi-ball has been introduced this season in the Premier League. So there are less times when the game literally stops because the ball is coming back into play more and more and more. So from that point of view, there's a whole range of different reasons why there may be more injuries for some clubs over others. And if I was to say to a marathon runner that you had to run an extra 15 to 20% on top of your 26 miles, that's a lot of extra work that you would have to do to complete a marathon. And footballers are conditioned to 90, 95 minutes, and now they're playing 100, 105 minutes. So there is a difference there. We've decided to invest more in our medical team to support Roberto and his staff and the players. Dr. Florian Flab will join us from Eintracht Frankfurt on the 1st of June. He's a highly skilled and experienced medical doctor specialising in sports medicine, previously worked at Bayern Munich and Ingolstadt. And we're also bringing in Dr. Gary Walker, who's a specialist in performance, who spent many, many years at Manchester United working with Danny Welbeck as one of his players at that time, David Beckham, Paul Scholes, the whole crowd that you'll be familiar with there. And most recently spent 5 years in Major League Soccer. So Gary joins us as well in the summer. That gives us two very senior, very experienced, high-level medics to help Roberto and his staff condition the players to prepare for more games, longer games, more intense games, but also to help them recover afterwards and to treat injuries. So I think Roberto and I are very, very happy with the appointments that we've made, and we're looking forward to Florian and Gary joining us.
It's very exciting. All the details, of course, on the club website there as well.
All right, Tesky O'Neill from Seagulls over Burwash. One person we haven't mentioned tonight is the referee.
It's a good job as well, isn't it? Do we really want to start that now?
I've been watching a lot of Championship football this year, and the refereeing in the Championship football is much, much better than the Premiership. Is it VAR in their ear that's causing the problems, or is it just me?
Okay, do you want a quick answer? Because we have talked about VAR, and you could fill minutes and minutes, and we've only got a few more minutes of Roberto's time, but we can ask Roberto. The question is VAR the problem because in the Championship they don't have VAR, and how is that affecting the referees?
Yes, until the decisions are not the same, it will be always confusion, discussion, and can't finish. I think there are the situation clear for everyone, and sometimes the fans can think what is this, no? Because
what about everybody in the room? If you didn't have VAR, would you prefer to go back to without VAR, or would you prefer it with? Hands up, everybody who wants VAR. There we go. I think that probably answers the question, really, doesn't it, to a certain degree? But is your question for Roberto?
For both.
For both. Okay, go on. Let's fire away because we've only got a couple more minutes. So.
Right. Good evening, Ryan from Hong Kong Seagulls. Thanks for letting us know that we're going to Japan. For Paul, why are we going to Japan? Like, is there what's the main reason that we're going there? And for Roberto, can I know, do you think it's a positive or negative thing for us team to be preparing for our pre-season in a country far, far away? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
If you go first, Roberto.
I think we have to analyze the condition where we go to work in pre-season. If there are the right condition, like last season in USA, for us is not a problem, especially if we go in a amazing country as Japan.
And why Japan? We received an invitation. Obviously, Karu is a huge star in Japan, so they're very excited to see him. And obviously for us, it's a great opportunity. It's also a very, very important market for American Express, our other partner, and also for Nike. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're heading up to 5 minutes to 8. Unfortunately, Roberto's going to be leaving us now, but Paul's going to stay on for a few more minutes. But I just want to extend all your thanks to Roberto for answering your questions. As I say, not many Premier League managers will come and speak to the fans. So, ladies and gentlemen, a big, warm thank you to Seagulls head coach Roberto De Zerbi. Thanks very much to Roberto. Obviously pre-season in Japan, Paul, but pre-season work being done here at the Amex fan zone. What's the latest? We can see the building works have already started.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm glad he didn't answer that question about referees because it got us into even more trouble probably. Fan zone, it's ongoing. I mean, we were hoping to get it ready for the Euros and then for the new season, but we've got a pipe that we had to move, or a couple of utility pipes under the ground, which is going to delay us, unfortunately, until the autumn, which is really frustrating. But the work is being done. It's all underway. We've got the planning permission, we've got the budget. So it's just really a question of getting the construction work done as quickly as we can.
And just to clarify, that's just for the home fans. Will there be an opportunity for away fans?
Yeah, I mean, home fans is absolutely the priority.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be a time, and I'm sure away fans will try and sneak in, but we'll police that and manage it as best we can. Luckily, we've got sensible fans who don't react violently to such situation. But again, it's primarily a home fans venue.
Okay, what exciting projects underway here at the Amex. This lady just here in the front.
Margaret, Seagulls over London. It's probably almost a Robert De Zerbi, but I'll ask you anyway. Okay. If you're able to wave a magic wand and get whichever player or position you could have for next season, who and what would it be?
Oh, God. Honestly, I would have a list as long as your arm, really. I mean, there are so many great players in the Premier League, and we're lucky to have a lot of them already of our own. But it's such a difficult question because, we can always do with one more fantastic player in any position. And obviously, if we gave Roberto that question, we could be here a long time. So, yeah, he ran away, thank God. Yeah, but no, I mean, we'll always, as I said earlier, we'll always look to strengthen the transfer window. We have a particular model that we work to. We have a particular wage structure we're not going to break. We're not going to put you guys in a position where there's a risk of losing your club again. That's not the way we work, and you wouldn't expect that from Tony, and you definitely won't get that from me.
Okay, let's try and squeeze in a couple more questions. We've only got 2 more minutes to go. So, quick question over on the left-hand side.
Hi, Paul. Just wanted to ask about the park and ride and if there's any plans to improve that, because the queues at the end are awful.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we spend 45 quid every game getting the Seagulls travel coach here, which obviously adds a massive cost onto the season ticket.
Yeah, of course. First of all, we're limited by sites for park and ride. There are not as many as you might think in terms of availability, particularly on Saturday afternoon. We'll always look for opportunities to make the transport infrastructure better, but we are limited not only by the sites but also by the number of buses and drivers, which is a major problem since Brexit, I'm afraid. So again, the south of England generally has a significant shortage of buses and drivers.
Okay, we touched just, well, Roberta's gone now though, Paul, just in terms of the women's setup, what is the situation? Obviously, you know, it's been a good few weeks, Mikey's doing a good job there. What is the sort of long-term situation there? And is there any sort of, I know it's ongoing work to try and bring the women into the city?
Yeah, we want to bring the team back to Brighton as quickly as we can. We think that's the best way to build a fan base. Again, as we all know in Brighton, a lot of hills, a lot of water, not a lot of space generally. So it's difficult to find the site that we need. We've got a couple in mind. We're working really well with the local authority, which is great. And Brighton Hove City Council have been very, very supportive. And I'm really thankful to Bella and her team for the work that they've put in already. And then on the head coach front, Mikey's done a really good job. He will certainly be considered as a candidate for the full-time position, but we've got literally a global search going on for a new head coach who we want in place for next season, and Mikey is very much part of that search process.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's wrap things up there. There's some brilliant questions. Thanks to everybody who raised their hand and everybody who came this evening. Obviously, thanks to Roberto, but also thanks to Paul for his time this evening. Final warm round of applause for your Deputy Chairman, Paul Barber. Thank you, Paul. Really good. I hope it was a good